r/classic World of Warcraft by misread it. I'm having a moment. Thank you. Tonight I spent a good 10 minutes bawling my eyes out sitting in Gallows End Tavern. A place in Brill that does not exist on retail anymore and the most significant location in all of Azeroth for me. Nearly 15 years ago I would end most nights sitting in Gallows End with my younger brother. Often getting our characters so drunk they'd puke and verbally harassing the undead that passed through while leveling. We'd sit and talk for hours about nothing and everything and every topic in between. He quit midway through BC but I got him to play again for about a month in Cataclysm. One of the first things he did upon coming back was try to go to Gallows End only to discover it was gone. He spent weeks joking about how he was going to gear up and punch Deathwing in the face for destroying our home and was well on his way to being geared enough to do just that when he passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. I've known Gallows End was here, pristine and intact since I first logged into Classic. I've known there was something there I needed. Some kind of closure or maybe just some imaginary figment of a ghost I had to visit. Tonight my wife had some business to take care of in Undercity after we finished some SM runs and I found myself terrified and excited to get away alone for a moment. To go home. I sat there crying as hard as a mid-30s man is ever going to cry. My wife heard me sniffling and thought I was having allergy issues and asked if I was okay. To which I replied I'm having a moment. Thank you. Thank you to Blizzard for giving me my moment. Edit. To all of those going for a drink at Gallows End. You are awesome and I love you for taking the time. Edit 2. To everyone who cried at work. I'm sorry. I had no clue this would get the response it did. Thank you all for your kind words and trips to Gallows End. You're all amazing. It's sad to see the other stories of loss and grief but somehow reassuring to know none of us are completely alone in our experiences. Grief and loss are weird things and they stick with us for a long time. It can be difficult not to feel silly at times when you're overcome years after the fact but you've all made me feel a lot less silly and shown me this game has a truly amazing and supportive community. I've got so much love for all of you strangers. Edit 3. It turns out that shortly after he passed my amazing wife realized that it was only a matter of time until every trace of his characters would vanish so she went and screenshotted their armories and put them on her Google Drive. This was Garishirul. My condolences for your loss. I will go to that bar on my server and have a drink to your brother's memory. Strangely enough, the idea of someone who wouldn't have otherwise cared about the place going out of their way to stop there even for a second makes me smile. I can't do it. I tear up every damn time I think about being there again and knowing he never will be, but if even one person stops and appreciates this otherwise insignificant virtual place that meant so much to him and I, well, that's pretty damn cool. Of course. May I get his character's name? Not trying to make you sad. I'd just like to do the toast properly. I understand a brother's love. If you want you can PM me his name. If you don't want it being public. Mind posting this on the official forums? We might be able to get a drunk NPC added. I'm gonna gear up and punch that nasty Deathwing in his nasty face. Pukes. Then says it again and falls over. Starts snoring loudly. Hit the upvote hard on this one. Let's make it visible. I think just adding a tombstone in the Brill graveyard would be a better idea. Going to make an all just to have a drink there now. In honor of your brother. To the Danish guy that taught me everything. About being a warrior. About tanking. How you took me through zones. How you taught me how to PvP. Taught me how to gear myself. Always being so strong and brave. Swinging your Blanchard's stout hammer around. Talking about how you were going to be a MT for your guild raid. I still use it. That hammer is my favorite. After that evening when you told me you were going through some rough times, but you were going to tank through it, I was worried. I was broken for quite some time. When you never logged back in again. Even more so. Upon finally learning of what became of you. But I kept my promise. And did hit 60 at long last. And I still make it a personal quest to get Blanchard's stout on all my warriors. To the best of my ability. It's been quite some years. But know that a warrior never forgets his mentor. And fellow shield brother. I will continue your fight against horde gankers and lobby killers. And I still Make it a personal quest to obtain your mighty hammer. Never to vendor it, but to always carry it on me proudly. Like you carried me through all those dungeons and quests once. God damn it. Who's cutting onions near me? Petition to get Arp's brother added as an NPC. This hit close to home for me. My mom never played with me, but being back in Classic is reminding me of all the times she would sit and watch me and ask me things about what I'm doing, characters, etc. She didn't care for video games, but she still wanted to know all about it because it brought me so much joy. I miss her dearly, and it's so bittersweet having all these memories flood back to me. I know exactly what you mean with it being bittersweet. Every zone is full of memories. In a way, I think we're lucky to have this to help us remember time we spent with people we loved, but it hurts so damn much at times, and for me it's almost confusing because I have grieved and I have mourned, but this feels fresh. I hope your memories of her can bring you some of the joy you remember from those times. It's really nice that she took the time to appreciate something just because it mattered to you. That is pure love. Bro, you are lucky to have had a mom like that. I've rolled Alliance for Classic, but I made a mage on Horde first when Classic launched. He is level 15 and currently in the Brill Inn. I will log on to that mage one last time. Put him in Gallows Tavern. Get him as drunk as the money that character has and log him out. He will remain in the tavern until the WoW Classic servers go offline. Cheers to your brother. May he rest in peace. And cheers to you, brother. Just realized the Brill Inn is Gallows End. I met my late husband in WoW in 2010. We had a special iceberg during Wrath we used to sit on and fish for hours. He passed away in 2017. My eyes are welling up thinking of your special memories with your brother. It is amazing this game has touched so many of us and left dear memories. Thank you for sharing. I'm a human scum warrior, but I would happily sit down beside you in Gallows End to toast your brother. May his soul forever fill those walls with laughter. Obscene remarks and weary warning of how crummy Deathwing is. Side note. If I could vote for your brother to be immortalized as a patron in Gallows End, I totally would. This really calls for a realm-wide toast. Why not everyone here? Coordinate on the realm OP is on to congregate in Gallows End this Friday evening. 9 p server time. And all toast at the same time with Yell in his honor. This is the kind of stuff Classic community is all about. What realm is OP on? If I may, consider explaining at some point to your wife the context. I'm sure she'd love to hear the full story on something that can make you that emotional. I did almost immediately after. She instantly understood. He was the first member of my family she met. The three of us played together vanilla, BC, and the month of Kata, so she knew there would probably be some memories brought back when we started up with Classic. In that moment though, I just wanted to be alone with how I felt long enough to figure out what it was I felt. Thank you for the suggestion though. I can't imagine how confused she'd be without context and explanation. Tersefall Glades. Great story. Man. I've had massive waves of nostalgia where I remember old friends once I walk into a zone or dungeon. But can't imagine revisiting a memory like this. Sorry for your loss. Brotherhood is a special relationship. I lost my older brother. He was 33. And we used to play video games all the time growing up. Our 20s saw distance grow between us as our interests changed, but last year he got me into Fortnite. It was the first time in a while since we were children that we actually stayed up and played a game together, even if it was in different houses. It was the hardest thing to log into my PS4. Look at my friends list and see him as last online over a month ago. I have sold my PS4 since I got back into WoW, and since I never played much of that console anyways. Before I cleared my PS4, I took one last hard look at his profile and his games played. He passed in July and it feels like I lost a huge part of my childhood and who I am. I have been seeing a lot of similar stories. This game has brought memories for people and felt like sharing mine too, even if it was not about this game. But a similar feeling of loss. And now I'm sitting at work crying. At least I'm crying at home. I swear I have never cried so much for something read on the internet. This. Very touching. I'm so sorry for your loss. Little moments like that can bring back a rush of emotions. My sister and I were on a family cruise years ago and we would hang out at the piano bar every night. We'd be wasted and scream at the piano guy play Free Bird. And laugh. She also died suddenly and unexpectedly. It really crushed our family and still does. Recently my wife and I took a cruise for our anniversary. And went to the piano bar. I yelled play Free Bird. And he did. Solo and all. I was bawling my eyes out by the end of it. Didn't even care I looked like a weirdo to everyone. One of those moments like this. Feels good and warm. But also sad. I've been seeing these threads a lot lately of a lost loved one on here. And I'm sorry for your loss, mate. At the very least it makes me feel like I'm not alone. And that many people have the same sort of tragedy occur. I couldn't even begin to imagine how hard it was for you to walk back into Gallows End. Some people might think putting so much emotional value into a virtual world is silly. But those people probably never experienced vanilla WoW. Looking back, we all have that one spot in game where the memories begin to flood back in waves of emotions. I'm so glad you mustered your courage to return one last time. You needed that. No matter how bittersweet it was. Tonight I will end my gaming session in Gallows End with a toast to your brother and to other gamers we have lost along this journey of life. I'm lucky enough that my friends rolled alliance this time around so I can strategically avoid those places. Having to hang out in Kargath with half of my old raid group because the other half have passed away would be too much. IDK where the alliance stage their raids prep, but as long as it's not Kargath I'll be okay. We'll be at Gallows End tonight at 8 PM Est on Skyrim having a drink for your brother. Hopefully you will find that he will always be with you in your memories. And sometimes that is all we need. I miss my brother and I fear approaching it. I am happy you took your steps. I'll be there on Stalag. I play a very old, 1994, game online. And often on one of the admins talks about finally shutting it down. He thinks I'm strange for saying it's more than just a game. It's a place people like to come back to and visit where they have so many good memories. So we should try to leave it up as long as possible. This is a pretty good example of that. Just curious. What game? That sounds awesome. The Two Towers mod. It has a big learning curve. But it is a highly detailed game with 20 years worth of content. Games have been how I've connected with most of my family members. I lost my brother a long time ago, but before that we played FF2 and FF3 together. We played X-Wing together. He was basically my R2. NES and SNES. I remember playing Ice Climbers a lot with him at one point. Regular old Mario Bros. 2-player coupe. Also the Genesis. I played WoW with my mom for a few years before she passed. I got my dad deeply addicted to a couple other Final Fantasy games. He loved 9 and played through it many times. We also shared Counter-Strike, although he played strictly offline. He also enjoyed COD games. All the way up until he died. The last thing we did together was I showed him my Vive and he played Zombie Training Simulator. He couldn't use his left hand, so being able to use one hand in a Vive game really worked out well for him. My wife and I played WoW for the first 2-3 years of our relationship. Now, I have gotten my 8 and 3-year-olds interested in it. A little. I'm sorry you lost your brother. I am glad you got to have that moment. Thanks for sharing that with us. Tonight I'll be buying 2 drinks in the Gallows End Tavern. One for myself and the other is getting poured out for your brother. Although he is gone, his memory will survive. So sorry for your loss. I will go there tonight as well. I just literally started a new undead priest last night and got to level 9. I will go there and have a drink in his honor on Benediction server. That's the amazing thing about Classic. So many memories. I played with my now ex-wife and it brings back the good times we had together playing the game. If you see a human pally drunk on the edge of town, be sure to give me a wave. Will do for sure. It's amazing the things that develop into such emotional memories. I'm sorry for your loss. Although I'm glad to hear you have this beautiful memory. I too am thankful. My grandfather was nearing the end of his life when I taught him how to control a computer. Just well enough to start fishing in WoW. Fishing was his favorite pastime in life. He found fishing in game to be very enjoyable. Honestly, I think WoW extended his life out for quite a while because as he became more comfortable with moving around in the virtual world, he found new energy and happiness. Every day I'd come home from school, he would want to share everything he learned and saw. How he single-handedly fished everything out the Great Sea and even leveled a character to 100 on his own, on a PvP server no less. Lol, I remember he would always search frantically for the wave button I made him. To everyone he met, even NPCs he confused for players. 3. While I miss him so very much, every time I'm cast a line out I think about him and I'm very thankful for those memories. My best friend practically begged me to play vanilla WoW. I resisted him for about a month and finally caved. We originally rolled Alliance to level 15 but ended up rerolling Horde on Frostmain. We lived in opposite corners of the country. Me in Seattle and him in Orlando. We would stay up on weekends until the wee hours of the next morning talking and Ventrilo. We would do dungeons and quests all the while talking shit to each other and drinking beers. Eventually more friends would join us. My first true introduction to PvP was with him in Darkshire. A lot of my WoW firsts was with him. By the time Burning Crusade, his playtime started falling off and eventually quit the game altogether before what LK. I kept playing until Warlords. Everyone I knew in game had quit playing by then and I just found WoW boring by then. My buddy eventually ended up being diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma in 2015. Brain cancer. He passed away a year later. I still think of him a lot. I started playing classic WoW and a lot of my memories of him came flooding back. It is both happy and sad. Hearing the music in particular zones or starting particular quests. I miss him. Ancestors watch over you. We shall meet again. My hearth is set there for SM farming. Thanks for giving significance to an otherwise insignificant inn. Next round is for you and your brother. I love Gallows End. I used to set all my hearthstones there. Back in the day. Even on non-undead characters. Similarly, when Cataclysm rolled around I wasn't very happy with the shoddy replacement they put in. That place has so many memories for me. Going back to it on classic feels so nostalgic. I'll pour out an ice cold milk for your brother. May he rest in peace. I'm on 8ish. Me and my friends will be sure to have a drink tonight when we log on. Cheers buddy. Gallows End it is. Tink tink. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Reddit videos.